Hey everybody, Daniel from Spacedock here with some advice that will literally never come in handy. How do you dogfight in space? Well, first I want to talk about something called Starbuck's rule. In the Ronald Moore Battlestar Galactica episode Scar from Season 2, Starbuck, when giving some advice to a younger and newer pilot, says in so many words, turn into every attack, never run, run and you're dead. Now, while this doesn't turn out brilliantly in the episode because the young pilot seems to be something of a moron, this advice is almost always incredibly important because the first thing you need to understand about dogfighting in space, in any kind of science fiction setting there's contrived reasons for there to be dogfighting in space, they have to recognize that there is no atmosphere and there is no ground. You're fighting in a vacuum that is almost always free of anything that could be described as terrain. Now, in an environment like this, almost everything will be able to turn on a sixpence. There's no air resistance, nobody's going to be banking slowly, it's going to be far more difficult to predict people's movements because they're going to be able to change them far more quickly. And if you're caught in a turning battle with another fighter, you're trying to stay behind him, he's trying to stay behind you, and then suddenly, for some reason, you want to get away. You've run out of missiles, your fuel's low, you feel like you need to ditch the engagement. The advice that Starbuck gave suddenly becomes incredibly apparent, because if you break off, you will die. You can't escape a dogfight like this, because if you're suddenly flying away in a straight line, and they're suddenly in a straight line to pursue you, there is a massive window of opportunity where you've got your back pointed at them, and it will be pointed at them until you can get out of range, which will be 6 or 7 seconds minimum. If you're that close and suddenly present a static, unmoving target that can't fire back for a few seconds, anybody with even basic competence will shoot you down, let alone a hyper-intelligent Cylon raider. So what Starbuck suggests instead is that you continue to turn into every attack. No matter how badly it's looking, no matter how screwed you seem to be, the best bet is always to keep turning and keep trying to win. You've always got a greater chance for survival when you're staying in their shadow and out of their firing arc as much as possible. Okay, so next I want to talk about what's called jousting. Now, if you've ever played a space dogfighting simulator or an arcade space dogfighting game or anything like that, especially one set in an IP where fighters have shields, then you'll have definitely been in a situation where an enemy fighter is flying directly at you, firing, and you're very tempted to just fly directly at them and fire back, so that you just exchange fire and hope that you tank all the damage and they don't, which normally is the case because you're playing the hero ship or whatever and they're a random drone fighter. This may sometimes be useful in simple dogfighting games, but it is not something you would ever want to do in reality, for I should think obvious reasons. Unless you're on the clock, like really on the clock, then you're almost always going to want to break off so you can try and get behind them, even if it extends the length of the dogfight by 3 or 4 times. It's always better to be in a position where you can fire at them but they can't fire at you. Trying to skip to the end by exposing yourself to potential instant death on the hope that you might inflict it on them first would first of all require some combination of bravery and stupidity, and second will put you in a position where you will almost certainly end the fight having taken some damage, which will diminish your ability to continue fighting in future engagements before you can get back to the carrier or whatever. Last up, silhouettes, as in the size and shape of the profile of a ship that you are pursuing. Now, 9 times out of 10, a ship's dorsal and ventral silhouettes are going to be its largest and flattest areas. Think like a Y-wing. If you're pursuing a Y-wing, you have a small angle of attack where you can see the back of the 2 engines and the back of the central bit, but if it starts to break away, or you force it to try and break away, then you expose its large Y-shaped dorsal hull as it starts to turn, and then you can put a bunch of rounds through the top of the ship. Now, this means a pilot will learn when these windows of opportunity come up and how to create them and exploit them. Now, in an earlier video, I explained this as the reasoning why the Slave 1 is a horribly designed ship, because it's basically designed in such a way that its largest and most vulnerable side is always facing the person chasing it, so that instead of offering a small window of opportunity to hit it when it's most vulnerable, it offers small windows of actually being okay while being completely vulnerable the rest of the time, which is of course a very bad idea. Now, as we draw this video to a close, I want to illustrate one thing that you should all have learned from the 3 points I made here, and that is that being a TIE fighter pilot sucks. These guys fly around in styrofoam balls with giant targets welded to the left and right sides that completely restrict their field of view, offer no meaningful protection, carry no shields, can't endure so much as small arms fire, and create extremely hazardous debris when they inevitably break off and hit all of the people in the comically tight formations that these ships normally fly in. About the one thing that the TIE fighter does really have going for it is that its primary weapons are extremely close together, so that when the pilot aims off and leads his shots, both blaster bolts will hit at the same rough area. This is a problem that's faced by loads of sci-fi fighters. If you look at the Arc 170, a ship that I really like, you'll see that its main guns are so far apart that if it fired ahead of an A-wing, for example, there's a good chance that the bolts would go on either side of the target and the A-wing would simply fly through the middle, because the A-wing's breadth is smaller than the gap between the 2 guns on the Arc 170, so it requires some kind of gimbling. Ships like the TIE Fighter and the Naboo Starfighter eliminate this problem by simply having extremely tightly packed guns. Often that doesn't look as cool, which is a shame, and admittedly the rule of cool does have to win a lot of the time. I mean, this whole space dogfighting thing doesn't make any sense anyway, so you may as well make it look good. But if we are going to analyse it, tightly packed guns like that do make sense. But in almost every other respect, being a TIE Fighter pilot is a horrible, horrible death sentence that should be avoided by anyone with a shred of self-preservation instinct. So if you ever find yourself piloting a space fighter in a harrowing dogfight, and you won't, this information will surely come in handy. This is Daniel from Spacedock, signing off. Thank you for watching Spacedock. Please remember to like, subscribe and share for more science fiction spacecraft summaries. If you enjoy the channel, why not consider pledging your support on Patreon? For just $1 a month, you'll be able to access the Spacedock schedule to see what's coming up.